It's 1949. Eugene Burnett is walking through Levittown, New York, neat tract houses with white picket fences. Each one represents the American dream, a safe place to raise a family, a foundation for wealth. And Burnett thinks, this is mine. I earned this. I served my country in World War II. I have the GI Bill. He walks into the sales office. He speaks with a salesman about the house. He explains, I'm using a GI Bill guaranteed mortgage. I'm qualified. I'm ready to buy. The salesman looks him dead in the eye and says, this neighborhood is not open to black residents. Burnett's wife, Bernice, remembers it like it was yesterday. It was as though it wasn't real, she said. Look at this house. Can you imagine having this? And then for them to tell me, because of the color of my skin, that I can't be part of it? This wasn't an isolated incident. This was systematic. Between 1944 and 1956, the GI Bill distributed 4.3 million home loans worth $33 billion. Nearly 8 million veterans received education and training. It was supposed to be the legislation that transformed America. The promise that if you bled for your country would invest in you. For 1.2 million black veterans, that promise was a lie. In 1944, as lawmakers drafted the GI Bill, Southern Democrats were terrified. Not of communism, not of foreign threats. They were terrified of their own black soldiers coming home with public sympathy behind them. According to historian records, these Democrats feared that returning black veterans would use that sympathy to challenge Jim Crow laws. So Mississippi Congressman John Rankin, the chair of the House Veterans Committee, a man who openly used racial slurs on the House floor and had even proposed legislation to confine and deport all Japanese Americans during the war, made a demand. He insisted the GI Bill be administered by individual states, not the federal government. He got his way. Why did this matter? Because in 1944, Jim Crow was law in the South, segregation was the rule everywhere. And when Rankin handed program administration to the states, he handed it to people who saw black advancement as a threat. Let me give you the numbers. In 1947, Ebony magazine conducted a survey in 13 Mississippi cities. There were 3,229 VA guaranteed home loans distributed. Only 2 went to black veterans, 2 out of 3,200. According to historian Ira Katznelson, who has meticulously documented this discrimination, the North wasn't any better. In New York and northern New Jersey suburbs, fewer than 100 of 67,000 GI Bill mortgages went to black homebuyers. But it wasn't just about housing black veterans who tried to access educational benefits, faced locked doors. 95% of black applicants were shunted to black colleges. Institutions that were chronically underfunded and couldn't absorb the flood of applicants, northern universities wouldn't admit them. Southern universities wouldn't admit them. Veterans who did get into vocational training programs faced another brutal reality. In Indianapolis, according to documented records, black trainees were prohibited from accessing equipment used for plumbing, electricity, and printing because that equipment was reserved for white students. Some black veterans who tried to move into housing developments weren't turned away by bureaucrats. They were attacked. In 1947, rocks were hurled at black veterans moving into a Chicago housing development. Thousands were attacked in the years following World War II. Some were lynched. The unemployment compensation was rigged too. Although Rankin couldn't completely exclude black veterans from the $20 weekly stipend, it was administered so unequally that it might as well have been denied. Black men were kicked out of the program the moment any other work was available, even work that paid subsistence wages. Southern postmasters were accused of refusing to deliver the forms black veterans needed to apply for benefits. Here's what happened. While white veterans flowed into newly constructed suburbs like Levittown, building generational wealth through home equity, raising property values, accumulating resources for their children, black veterans remained trapped in segregated urban neighborhoods. Banks used a practice called redlining, literally marking maps by race to deny lending to black neighborhoods. These maps are still in archives. They show red lines around black communities with the notation, too risky to lend. So even the veterans who did get approved for loans couldn't find places to buy. By the 1950s, the wealth gap was already crystallizing. Today, according to the U.S. Census, the median household income for white Americans is $76,057. For black Americans, it's $46,073. That gap, nearly $30,000, traces a direct line back to 1944, back to John Rankin, back to the GI Bill that promised prosperity to everyone but only delivered it to white veterans. Historian Ira Katznelson said it plainly: no greater instrument for widening an already huge racial gap in post-war America than the GI Bill. Think about that. The GI Bill wasn't just legislation. It was the mechanism through which American institutional racism was transformed into permanent economic inequality. It wasn't an accident that fewer than 100 black families got mortgages in the entire New Jersey suburbs. It wasn't coincidence that only 2 of 3,229 loans went to black veterans in Mississippi. It was engineered. It was designed. It was deliberate. Eugene Burnett never got a his house in Levittown. He watched it from the outside. Just like millions of black Americans today watch the consequences of decisions made in 1944, decisions that handed wealth to one group and denial to another. The GI Bill didn't fail black veterans. It succeeded perfectly. It succeeded at exactly what it was designed to do: keep wealth white. If this moved you, if you're sitting there understanding for the first time that the prosperity you might have heard about in post-war America was built on deliberate racial exclusion, comment below. Tell me, did you know the GI Bill was weaponized against black Americans? Did you understand that the Levittown wealth gap traces directly to 1944? Or is this the first time you're learning that systemic racism isn't an accident? It's a policy. Like this video, share it with someone who thinks the wealth gap is natural or inevitable. Show them it was built. Subscribe to Ikemafuna History TV. We don't tell comfortable stories. We trace inequality to its source. We name the architects. We show the documents. We refuse to let systemic racism hide behind euphemisms and institutional silence. History written by the powerful always omits how power was built. That's why we're here. Comment, like, share, subscribe, because Eugene Burnett deserved that house. And we need to remember that his story is America's story, a nation built on broken promises to black people, and we're still living in the shadow of those broken promises.